We know very little about the upcoming game Death Stranding, other than, it's pretty weird. Well, we do know it's going to be a third-person game, and we do know that there's a baby inside of Norman Reedus, but we don't know anything about the gameplay. And recently, one of the game's lead actors tried to explain what the game is.
Speaking with Total Film magazine, actor and Death Stranding star Mikkelsen dropped some hints about the mysterious game. Total Film asked Mikkelsen about his involvement in the game and what it's like working with Hideo Kojima. Mikkelsen said, quote, "Kojima tries to explain it again and again and again, and I thought I had it, but then this happens and I've lost it again. It's too complicated, it's too crazy, it's too beautiful." Mikkelsen also said he's seen very little of the game in action, but what he has seen, he described as wonderful. But perhaps the most interesting part of the interview is where Mikkelsen describes the central concept of the game. Quote, "The whole concept of playing the game, as I understand, needs collaboration from different people, from different parts of the world. I've never seen anything like this, and Kojima's not happy with it yet. It's going to be ballistic." It's also worth mentioning not too long ago, the other star of Death Stranding, Norman Reedus, said the game will feature elements of social media. So what Mikkelsen is saying about global player cooperation makes sense. We'll get a more in-depth look at Death Stranding at Sony's E3 press conference next month.
And boy oh boy, are we waiting for that. I mean, there's anticipation abound for that reveal. Well, we've seen tweets of Hideo Kojima doing editing, so we can assume this again. It's going to be a huge trailer like it was in, I think it was E3 last year.
Yeah, 25-minute long in the Game Awards.
Oh yeah, Game Awards. Yeah, it was over 10 minutes of just like a whole cutscene. Batshit crazy. Babies inside of males. It was
Norman
Reedus. It was crazy. Underwater thing. Who knows what's going to come at E3? Not even Hideo, probably.
The fact that Norman Reedus said it had elements of social media too gives a little bit more weight to this, because I don't know how big of a gamer Mikkelsen is, so maybe him saying it's got all these crazy elements from all around the world, he could be talking about World of Warcraft. Do you know what I mean? Like if I try to explain God of War to my dad, he'd be like, the stuff you can do in Art Son is fantastic.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. It's like somebody who doesn't know about gaming trying to explain what multiplayer is.
Yeah.
You could take it like that, but I'm a little bit more, he's kind of touching on something, it's Kojima we're talking about here, right? Yeah. And he has said before that he's trying to change the way that games play, so let's give him the benefit of the doubt.
Mads Mikkelsen also knows everything. He's a superhuman, so I'm just taking what he says and I'm going to run with it.
Also this week, analytics from Superdata said digital video game sales generated $9.09 billion in revenue in April. According to Superdata's research, spending grew 23% year on year from $7.24 billion, and the bump in revenue came from console and mobile spending. Console games revenue was up 44%, mainly because of the juggernaut that is Fortnite Battle Royale, which generated the most monthly revenue from in-game purchases that month. To put Fortnite's success in perspective, the game brought in $296 million in revenue across PC, PS4, Xbox One and iOS in April, up from the $223 million it made in March. Also contributing to the increase was Sony's God of War, which was the best-selling console game in April by a large margin, shifting 2.1 million copies, making it Sony's fastest-selling PS4 exclusive. On the mobile front, Tencent's Honor of Kings, or Arena of Valor as it's known in the West, was the highest-grossing mobile game, with players spending $185 million on the game in April. And of course, no sales figures are complete without the behemoth that is Grand Theft Auto 5, which is still in the top 10 charts 5 years after release and is on track to reach 100 million copies sold by the end of 2018. So year on year in April, the amount of money spent on games has gone up 23%. Now we saw the overall spending last year was $108 billion in the games industry, which absolutely dwarfs the movie industry box office, which was like $40 million. So for it to have grown 23% in that month alone, if that's indicative of the rest of the year, then we're looking at something like $130 billion in revenue in the games industry for this year, which will be astronomical. And you can't keep Fortnite out of this conversation, because Fortnite is the big one, right? Everyone's talking about Fortnite, whether you know about the games industry and whether you know nothing about the games industry. Everyone, their mother, BBC's covering it. So many news outlets are covering Fortnite because, it's in the sun. Like, oh, my little monsters are turning into monsters because of Fortnite, as if they weren't monsters already. One thing's for sure, it's making shed loads of money, and for a free-to-play game, it's almost unheard of.
300 million a month almost. And it doesn't cost any money to buy it. Yeah. So that people are just choosing to buy dabs for $300 million every month.
Criticise as you may, it's a free-to-play game, and I mean, for people who want to complain about microtransactions in games, if it's a free-to-play model, for me, that's justifiable, that's fine, that's their monetization method, that's the way they want to do. They're essentially giving out the game for free, so what are you complaining about?
And finally, Far Cry 5 will get its first bit of DLC this June. The Vietnam-themed Hours of Darkness puts players in control of Wendell Redler, a character from the base game, who has to find and rescue his squad mates during the Vietnam War. Hours of Darkness will feature new gear and abilities, and also 2 new game modes which unlock after players finish the story portion of the DLC. These modes are Survivor, which limits players' loadouts for a more challenging experience, and the Action Movie mode, which gives players all the tools they need to go all out. Ubisoft will also put the assets from the DLC in Far Cry Arcade, so players can create their own Vietnam-themed maps. Hours of Darkness is available as part of Far Cry 5 Season Pass, or it can be bought on its own, and it will be out on PS4, Xbox One and PC on June the 5th. It's the first of a trilogy of DLC that we've already kind of seen, haven't we? There's like the Mars one,
Zombies one,
and the Vietnam one. So this is like the less wacky out of the 3 of them, and it features a character from the game. Like, I don't know if you met him in the game, I don't know, but he's probably like an old man Vietnam vet. Is that safe to assume?
Yeah, that's probably who it is. And for people who were unsatisfied with the end in Far Cry 5, no spoilers by the way. For those people, this gives some extra content is what you want. I completed Far Cry 5 and I was like, I want more, because I enjoyed it. It's a very enjoyable game. And to generate these DLCs which are themed and are very specific, Mars, zombies and Vietnam, it changes the gameplay drastically, right? Or the setting drastically. And it seems like it's a worthy addition to the Far Cry, the game. Core game. So it's gonna have a different flavour, it's gonna be different, and in my eyes, for someone who really enjoyed the game, it's probably going to be worth a purchase too. But that's just me.
I've got something I want to say that's like I think is an interesting point.
The camera's on, it's rolling, the microphone's live. This is what you're here for.
I'm here, isn't it? Yeah.
Don't say you got something, just
just tell you. Hear me out, yeah? Far Cry Arcade is getting the assets, and you don't have to buy the DLC to get the assets. Is a talented map editor gonna remake it for free? And if that happens, are Ubisoft gonna take it down? Because there's gonna be someone out there who's gonna try and do it, recreate it. You've got all the assets there. How long is it till Ubisoft are gonna be like, oh shit, we've given them too much power? I don't know. I wanna see if that happens, and I wanna see how long it's gonna take, because I think that's gonna be an interesting conversation when they realise, here's our story, we've given you everything we've used to make the story, but please, we want money for it, so please don't make it in the free bit. I don't know why they sound like that. But yeah, that's going to be interesting, huh?
So what are your theories on Death Stranding? What's Hideo Kojima up to? What is Mads Mikkelsen on about? Let us know down in the comments below. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new around here. Check out another one of the videos on the screen there. Support us on Patreon with that link right there. We'll see you again in the next video. Until then, bye for now.